I think that any organization that is able to not only survive but thrive over a period of 75 years has to be doing something right.
It gives me great pride to hear how others outside our own community think of the Lord Reading.
And it represents excellence in advocacy. It represents truth and justice.
It's an opportunity for leadership for many of our young lawyers who might not have had such opportunities if not for their involvement in Lord Reading.
Every year we host an evening where we give awards and prizes to worthy law students from English and French universities throughout Quebec.
But most of all, look after and advance human rights for all minorities.
Whether it's linguistic minorities, religious minorities, racial minorities, and standing up for the downtrodden.
It's a symbol of a shield, and it's a symbol of a voice.
I think that the Lord Reading has really added to the fabric of the entire legal community of Montreal.
C'est un lieu qui incarne profondément des valeurs humaines, des valeurs de justice fondamentale.
But I think there's something that we shouldn't forget, and that's who came before us.
Those people walked so that, we could run.
We all stand on the shoulders of giants.
Lord Reading was founded in 1948, same year as the State of Israel, and it was founded to combat anti-Semitism.
There were no Jewish judges on any of the provincial or federal benches in 1948.
There was overt anti-Semitism in the province of Quebec, to such a point, as an example, the Barreau du Québec were having its annual meeting
in a hotel boasting signs which read, "No dogs, no Jews."
And the Jewish members of the bar decided that they were going to boycott that meeting, protest the meeting, and fight for the right to be full-fledged members of the Barreau du Québec.
As a result of the establishment of the Lord Reading Law Society, Jewish lawyers were appointed to the bench. Many Jewish lawyers were appointed to the Superior Court, to the Quebec Court, and to the Court of Appeal.
Harry Badshaw, he became the first Jewish member of the Superior Court.
The whole community was so proud.
My grandfather, the rabbi, would visit the Jewish boys who were in the internment camp just outside of Sherbrooke. And my grandfather, the rabbi, took Fred Kaufman into his home, into our home, and then went on, and the rest is history.
In 1959, my late father, who was the lawyer for Roncarelli versus Du Plessis, won probably one of the most important constitutional law cases in the history of Canada. He went to a number of the big offices, and none of them wanted to get involved against Du Plessis.
We've always spoken up in favor of and on behalf of the downtrodden and those who required our voice.
I remember when I was teaching law, going back a number of years, there were 1 or 2 or 3 women in the class. I started teaching in the 70s, and I stopped teaching in the 90s. By the time I got to the 90s, there were more women in the class than there were men.
When I started, I was probably the youngest person in the room and one of very few women in the room. And now when I go to meetings, I see a lot of younger lawyers and a lot of women.
Being the first woman to be asked to be president of the Lord Reading Society was an important moment, and I don't think I realized how important it was at the time. But in retrospect, it started for me a pathway to leadership roles within the Bar of Montreal and other legal organizations.
We are living presently in difficult times.
Sadly, I think instead of going forward, in many ways we're going backwards. We're seeing a lot of things that transpired 75 years ago, reenacted in day-to-day life.
We're still underrepresented in the judiciary. is a significant concern, which was a concern 75 years ago.
The number of judges from the Jewish community has dwindled to less than we can count on one hand.
And we've been a lot more active in advocacy when the climate has required it.
The best thing is when we make our submissions and there's changes to the laws that help minorities across the board.
And ultimately, I'm very proud, of being a member of a society that took a stand, that decided to take a stand when so many other associations did not.
Now, I see that there's a bigger role for us to play than there was before.
I think we really have to lean into our mandate of human rights protection.
Lord Reading, if anything, is more important, more relevant today than at any point in our history.
The motto of our organization, Justice, Justice Shalt Thou Pursue, comes from the book of Deuteronomy.
The society's role and its importance continues to this very day and will continue in the future.
All jurists, judges, lawyers, notaries, law students, all of us, we have to seek justice, not just law, but true justice. And that's what this organization is all about.
The last thing I want to say is a thank you to the Lord Reading Law Society, because it really was responsible for introducing me to colleagues and judges who have now become some of my closest friends, and that would never have happened without this society. So a big thank you to the society, and a happy birthday to it as well.
And I hope that the society is still around at 120 and many years after that.
So, Mazal Tov, and may we all go from strength to strength.